Okay, so strap yourselves in for this deep dive. We're going deep on deflation.
Uh,
Yeah, deflation, I know.
it's a
Exciting.
little dry.
It might sound dry, but we're looking at this piece called Texto Colado,
Okay.
and it brings up some really interesting points. Makes you kind of rethink some stuff.
Like what?
Like, is deflation always a bad thing?
Hmm. Well, most economists, especially in the West, they tend to see deflation, especially in a major economy like China, as a pretty bad omen.
Right, right. Like, the economy is going to just completely tank.
Exactly. You see falling prices, and then people just stop buying stuff. Businesses get nervous, and they hold back on investments.
Makes sense. A whole downward spiral.
Yeah.
But this Texto Colado piece, they're saying that, well, maybe if you're making things actual tangible goods and you're producing them at lower and lower prices,
Yeah.
that could actually be a good thing for the economy.
Interesting. How so?
Well, they're saying that if, like, basic necessities, food, things like that become cheaper, people will have more money to spend on other things. They'll have more buying power.
That's true. I mean, if your grocery bill is less, you have more money to maybe go out to eat or take a vacation or,
So, exactly.
buy a new TV or something.
Yeah. So it kind of stimulates the economy in other areas.
Yeah.
Does that hold water?
It makes sense on the surface. I mean, that's basic supply and demand stuff, right? If something costs less, people can buy more of it or buy other things. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't really address the investment side of things.
Right, if businesses aren't confident.
Exactly.
Okay. So there are definitely two sides to that coin. But the source also talks about how deflation can be a total disaster if you're in a system that's, totally reliant on asset prices going up all the time.
Ah, you mean like real estate?
Yeah, real estate, the stock market, that kind of stuff. And that's
Yeah.
most of us, right?
Right.
We're all invested in those things in some way.
Right, right.
And they're saying that this whole idea that prices need to always go up, it creates like a fake sense of prosperity, an illusion.
It's like a house of cards built on, well, debt.
Oh, okay.
Like, asset bubbles. Prices go up really fast, and it's usually because of easy credit. Loans are cheap, and people start speculating. It creates this feeling that everything's great, that everyone's getting richer, but it's not always tied to what's really happening in the economy.
I see.
So people feel wealthy on paper, but that wealth can disappear really quickly if the bubble bursts, and deflation, that can be what bursts the bubble.
So it's like a sugar rush and then a huge crash.
Pretty much, yeah.
And, on that note, the source also brings up something else I thought was really interesting. They're challenging this idea that higher prices automatically mean higher demand.
Okay.
They even use recent inflation in the West as an example. Prices have been going up, but are we actually better off? It doesn't really feel like.
Well, that's the thing. Texto Colado is really making us think about what rising prices actually mean. Inflation doesn't always mean a booming economy, It can be because of things like problems in the supply chain.
Right, like shortages and stuff.
Exactly. Or the cost of producing things is going up. Or it could even be, manipulation, people messing with commodity markets.
Wow. Okay. So it's a lot more complicated than just prices are high, everyone must be buying a ton of stuff.
Exactly. You got to dig deeper.
So is there ever a situation where deflation could actually be a good thing? Because the source mentions things like, what if energy and resources get cheaper?
Okay.
Or what if productivity just goes way up? Or, what if we start using local currencies more for trade?
Well, there have been times when deflation, or at least disinflation, where prices are still going up, but much more slowly, have happened alongside some good things in the economy. Like when there's a lot of technological innovation, new technologies can make things cheaper to produce and businesses get more efficient. So prices can go down for the consumer, but businesses can still make a profit.
Yeah.
Think about, how automation and computers have changed so many industries, but those situations, they're usually very specific to the circumstances, and it's never just one thing causing it.
Right. Lots of moving parts.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like we need to be looking at other things besides just GDP to really judge how healthy an economy is.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is another point that Texto Colado makes.
Yeah.
That GDP isn't the be-all and end-all.
Right. It's a useful measurement, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Like, it doesn't really show things like how income is distributed or how sustainable things are environmentally or even how happy people are overall.
Right, like quality of life.
Exactly. And there are other measurements out there that try to look at the bigger picture, things like the Genuine Progress Indicator or GPI. It includes things like the cost of pollution and crime and income inequality.
Interesting.
Or there's the Human Development Index, HDI, that looks at life expectancy and how much education people have and their...
Okay, so next time someone's bragging about how much GDP has gone up, we should probably be a little skeptical.
It's one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture.
One thing that really stuck with me from the piece is this idea that a really healthy economy, it's all about profit margins, not just how much things cost.
Interesting point.
It reminds me of this bakery I go to. They actually lowered their prices a while back, but they got so much more efficient with how they do things that they're actually making more money now.
That's a great example. Innovation and efficiency, that's how businesses can be successful, even if prices are going down.
Right. They adapted and found ways to make it work.
Exactly. And Texto Colado is really encouraging us to think about those underlying factors, not just get caught up in whether prices are going up or down, but look at what's really driving economic growth, in the long term.
Well, this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. Deflation, it's not so simple.
Well, it's complex.
Definitely complex. So I guess the big question is, what should we be paying attention to if we want to figure out how healthy an economy really is? What are the right signals?
That's a good question to ask.
It's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more deep dives soon, so stay tuned.
Looking forward to it.